Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. If you saw the title of this video, pretty sure that we know why we're here. I have decided to read every single Shadowhunter book that exists because everyone seems to give them pretty high ratings. There's a lot of hype, so wanted to see what all the fuss was about. So that is what we have done. We have examined the hype. We have seen what everyone's talking about. So here we are. I'm jumping on the bandwagon. I'm a fan. We stand Cassandra Clare. She did some shit. She came out 2007. She had her queer characters on page, confirmed. So we stand. If you have no clue what I'm talking about and you've somehow stumbled across this video and you really you don't know anything, then I will briefly summarize what the Shadowhunter literary universe is. It is a collection of stories that centers around a supernatural race of demon hunters. I have currently read 2 of the series and 1 novella, so a collection of short stories that also takes place in the world of shadow hunting. I currently have read the Infernal Devices as well as the Mortal Instruments. There is a video by Emma from Emma Books that she explains pretty much what everything is and several different ways that you can read all of the books. I personally read the first 3 books of the Mortal Instruments, and then I read the Infernal Devices, and then I read the last 3 books in the Mortal Instruments, and then I read the Bane Chronicles, and I am currently in the middle of Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy. I very much am looking forward to the Dark Artifices as well as Chain of Gold. I mean, literally every single person is giving it 5 stars, so I was also inspired to do this general concept by Miriam Reed sometimes. I'm gonna link her down below. She read them in a different order than I did, so if you wanna see like kind of how she felt and what she thought from how she read them, she read the Infernal Devices and then the Mortal Instruments. I wanted to rank the books from what I enjoyed the least to what I enjoyed the best. Again, if you have no idea what any of these books are about, check out some of the links below. Very quick summary of the 2 series that I have read. I'm going to try to put in a photo of them right here. So the Infernal Devices is a series that follows Tessa. She is going from New York to London to find her brother, and she is kidnapped. And there's 3 books in the series. It takes place in 1878 in Victorian London, just so you kind of know what it's about. I don't want to say too much else because the less you know, I think the more you will enjoy it. Then after that, we have the Mortal Instruments, which is 6 books that take place in New York in 2007, and we're following Clary Frey, our protagonist, and the beginning scene of her in a nightclub with her best friend, and she witnesses a murder and then discovers that she's part of the supernatural race of demon hunters. We have 6 books of her learning all about herself as well as a bunch of other people. There's lots of history, lots of mythology, lots of references to a lot of mythological things. In this world we have vampires, warlocks, fairies, and the Shadowhunters, which are the demon hunters. And we have demons, which I don't know if I mentioned. So obviously there's demons because they're being hunted. So there's that. So now I already said the order in which I read them, and now I want to rank them from what I enjoyed the least to what I enjoyed the most. Starting it off with number 10, we have the Bane Chronicles. So this is the most recent book that I finished. And for me, I will say I think that I'm a much more plot-driven reader. So this book is very character focused. It's very much all about Magnus Bane. So if you love Magnus Bane, then you might have a better time than I did. I do know a lot of people love him. I do like him. I like him for sure. He's not my absolute favorite, but it was a good book. I still recommend the book, especially if you love Shadowhunter related books. This is definitely a good option if you just want to know more about the world. Everything that happens in here, as far as I know, unless there's something in later books I haven't read yet, but as far as I know at this point, there's nothing relevant to the Infernal Devices or the Mortal Instruments. I gave this book 3 stars. Then we have number 9. I think most people would agree, anyone that's read this book, or if you've watched anybody rank the books, I think a lot of people say this book is at the bottom, near the bottom for sure. That is City of Ashes, the second book in the Mortal Instruments series. I'll just say the fairy court scene made me want to vomit. I really was hoping that things were not going to just continue the way they continued, and they didn't, and I'm really glad. Obviously I wouldn't even be here making this video talking about these books, because I think we all agree, if we've read these books, that there's just some pretty disgusting things happening. It's not the very last book, because there was still things relevant to the plot happening. There is a pretty big reveal about Clary that I think is pretty interesting. So, I mean, it's not the worst book. It's just my least favorite in the series. Obviously, like, the series overall I still really enjoyed, but my least favorite in the series for sure. I gave this book like 3.5 stars. Then we have one I think is gonna hurt some people. Number 8, Clockwork Prince. As I mentioned, I am heavily plot driven, especially in fantasy. I really like a plot driven narrative, and this book is heavily focused on character development, which is done really well, and there is a lot of depth to a specific character for sure. I don't hate this book. I really liked this book. I just liked other books better, so I had to rank this book here. Chapter 7 was the best part of this entire book. So if you own the book and you plan on reading it and then you read chapter 7, let me know if you agree. I really enjoyed this series. You'll see I have some very different opinions, but overall I still very much enjoyed the series. I gave this book 4 stars. So, I mean, from this point on, we're at the 4 stars at the minimum. So everything else was good in my opinion. Heavily enjoyed it. Really recommend the series, especially if you like fantasy, mythological, and if you really like a universe that is just so deep and so involved. It's a very vast universe. I mean, if you Google Shadowhunter family tree, that just, I feel like, explains it all. So if that is something that is not what you're about, then I wouldn't recommend these books. But if you like to follow stories and you want to see how every little thing can be connected, I would highly recommend the Shadowhunter books overall. The next book, again, I think this is really going to hurt some people, because I do know some people who agree with me on this, but we're few and far between. So number 7 is Clockwork Princess. This is a book that I enjoyed the book. I gave it 4 stars. It's definitely more focused on the plot compared to the previous book in the series, but I just didn't enjoy the plot. I would have given this book 3 stars if there was no epilogue. However, if we were to rate this book on epilogue alone, I would probably give the epilogue 5 stars. So that's why I gave it 4, because that's between 3 and 5. So I gave this book 4 stars. This just felt longer than it needed to be, which I have heard people say that about future Cassandra Clare books. I still really enjoyed the book though, so I'm still gonna read I literally own everything she's published except for Red Scrolls of Magic, which I ordered, so soon I will be in possession of every single Cassandra Clare book. Honestly, this book is worth it just for the epilogue. So that's all I really have to say about this one. 4 stars. Then we have number 6. So almost right in the middle, but there's books I enjoyed more. This one, it's the beginning. It's what started it all. It's iconic. What I really enjoyed about this book is just the world building. There's 16 books in this universe. When I think of world building, I think of like a universe where there's that many stories to tell. And this is the one that started everything. So I couldn't put this at the bottom, but there's books that happened after this one that I enjoyed a lot more. Like you have to know where we started to appreciate where we get. I gave it 4 stars. I had a great time. That's my thoughts on this one. Then we have number 5, pretty much in the middle, City of Fallen Angels, book 4 in the Mortal Instruments series. So this book is problematic. Pretty much every single character in this book does something bad, but if we're just talking about my enjoyment of the book alone, this is where it's at. It's in number 5. I had read The Infernal Devices and did enjoy it, but I hadn't enjoyed it as much as I was enjoying the Mortal Instruments. So then we came back to the Mortal Instruments as far as my reading experience, and I was so happy to be back with these characters and in this time. So maybe that was a factor in why I'm ranking it here instead of where a lot of other people would rank it lower. I will just say that I gave this book, I honestly wanted to give it 4.5 stars because I was just so happy to be back. But looking back on it and really thinking about the plot in this story, almost nothing happens that matters until the very last, maybe the very last chapter, or maybe the last 2 or 3 chapters. So rating books is so weird, but I would probably rank this, I would probably still say at least 4 stars for sure. And I would still hold, for me, just me personally, obviously if you disagree, that is 100% okay. And if you want to tell me all the reasons why I shouldn't have enjoyed this book, go for it, let's discuss it. But this is where I'm putting it for now. Then we have book number 4, City of Lost Souls. So this is the 5th book in the Mortal Instruments series. This book follows every single side character. It's funny because I would say that I actually enjoyed the main characters of the Infernal Devices a lot more than the main characters of the Mortal Instruments, but I enjoyed the side characters of the Mortal Instruments so much more than the Infernal Devices. So I'm kind of just in a weird, it was a weird experience. Obviously, I enjoyed the whole experience. I wouldn't have read 10 books in the world if I didn't have a good time. But I just want to say that I enjoyed the side characters of the Mortal Instruments more than the main characters, which I feel like if you've read the books, you'll understand why this is so high, because this follows all of the side characters. We're very focused on side characters. And I did think that the discussions that were happening as far as Jace, the main male protagonist in the series, the things that were being discussed as far as like the good versus evil stuff, like it was very interesting and very intriguing to think about. I enjoyed this book and what it talked about, and I enjoyed the side characters a lot. So that's why it is in my top 5 of the 10 that I've read. I gave it 4 stars. It was a good time. I didn't really have a lot to say about it. I just liked it. That's that on that. The next book, I feel like people are going to get confused now, because the next book, which is the number 3 book, is Clockwork Angel, which is the first book in the Infernal Devices. So I would say the reasoning for this book being placed here is because I had just finished City of Glass, which hasn't shown up yet. So I had just finished City of Glass and really enjoyed it. It's in the top 2, if you couldn't tell. And was just so happy to be here. I was just so happy to continue the world building. I was so excited. I was so invested. I was enthralled. In comparison to Clary and Tessa, if you're going to compare them, I like Tessa better. So obviously everything is confusing when you're comparing these 2 series and how I've ranked them. Like, nothing makes any sense. But Tessa's motivations for why she does what she does are so much clearer and so much more apparent, and I guess maybe in a way related to her better than to Clary, because Clary does things that I don't understand, and Tessa is just she's an independent woman. Like, but yet she loves people so much. And I just also want to point out that there's a quote that a lot of people reference from the Infernal Devices where Tessa says, "Words have the power to change us." It's in this book. I would also like to point out, I think people forget that Jim, who is one of the love interests in the Infernal Devices, his backstory, if you will, is revealed in this book. And Jim is my favorite character ever in all the series. So again, things don't make any sense to how I have rated these books, because books are such a personal experience and it's so weird. Whatever, I don't know what else to say. I just want to say that this was such a good motivation to keep everything going. And I want to reread this book very soon. I want to reread all the books very soon. I want to read them in every single order possible so that I can give you every single recommendation, because I can't stop talking about all of these books. I had to make a video about it just to talk about them. But like, this is top 3. Like, it was so good. It was so good. I gave it 5 stars, and my review literally was all caps, Jim Carstairs. Like, that's all I needed. Jim Carstairs. 5 stars. There were so many quotes from Jim. I bet you every single annotation in this book is something Jim said. I love Jim. I'm in the minority. If you know the story, that might also explain more. That might explain the rankings more, because Jessa for life. Then I have ranked number 2, City of Glass. This is conclusion number 1 to the Mortal Instruments. So this book was a ride. I mean, we were literally going nonstop. Cassandra Clare's known for the endings of her series, and I agree, the endings are really good. One of my favorite things that an author can do is to spend an entire chapter giving the history on something, and then in the very next chapter, you're basically told everything you just heard was a lie. And it was just so well done, and we just had so much action happening. There was literally not one single boring moment in this book. We were just constantly doing stuff. And I would say that there are some plot conveniences. Like, there's some times, like, for me personally, I feel like I'd only read the first 2 books before this one, but I am a plot-driven reader and a person who wants the plot to just constantly go. Like, I don't like to just sit around. If there's an obstacle and we're not able to continue the plot, like, I don't like that. I want to continue the plot. So there were certain things at the beginning of the book that maybe some people would be annoyed about, and I kind of agree that like maybe things were just handed to our characters a little bit too easily, but I also think that there is a decent amount to explain why things are as easy as they are, so I'm not too angry about it. But if like you don't like plot conveniences, I don't know if you would like this book as much as I did. 5 stars. That's that on that. In the number 1 spot, which you already know, I feel like so many people will agree with me on this one, and I love that. I'm so happy that we all agree that this is so good. Some people argue Clockwork Princess and this one are like on the same level, which I obviously disagree with a lot. And I don't know if I would say it's completely because I'm a plot-driven reader. I also super appreciated the connections that were made from the Infernal Devices and the Mortal Instruments. So if you know what's coming next, hi, here it is. City of Heavenly Fire, also known as Book 6 of the Mortal Instruments. As I said, I had read books 1 through 3 in the Mortal Instruments, and then the Infernal Devices, and then we came back to the Mortal Instruments. And I do agree with the sentiment that you should probably read Clockwork Princess before you get here, just because I think the epilogue of this book sticks a much better landing knowing what we know, you know? And to me, that's why this is also just a better book, because you're reliant on that book to get to appreciate everything in this book. So is it worth reading 8 books to get to a 5-star book? Yes, in my opinion. It was absolutely worth reading 8 books just to get here. And not only is the epilogue of this book just so iconic because of the connections, but also everything happening in this book is just, it never stops. And I would almost say that like there's a lot less plot conveniences in this book. The characters did have to work a little bit harder. I mean, it's the longest book it's so far that I've read. I know there's longer books after this one. So we will be sticking around for every single Shadowhunter book. And when people are like, is Cassandra Clare gonna write outside of the Shadowhunter universe? I'm gonna be like, I hope not, because this world is so massive. It is so massive. There are so many stories to tell, and I want to hear all of them. I would really appreciate it if I could find some people out there who want to talk about these books and tell me why they disagree, why they agree, if they want to read them now, if they feel like they're not even slightly remotely interested anymore. I'm super curious. Love to hear everyone's thoughts on the books as a whole. I will link Emma Book's video down below. I will link Miriam Reed's Sometimes video, which was way better than mine from what I watched. She has read more than I have at this point. I haven't read, not that anyone cares, but I have not read books in a long time. And these books have me very excited to read a lot more books, and hopefully books by other authors, because I'm just someone who really enjoys the immersion of a series. Obviously, will be sticking around for every single book released after that. If you watch this whole video, wow, thank you. You're amazing. So I'm also going to link my Bookstagram and my Goodreads, so you can check that out if you feel like it. I'm very excited to finish this and start this and then read this and then read this, which I kind of already read the last sentence of this, so what? Really excited to know how we got there. I don't know why I did that. That was dumb. But I wanted to see how many pages it was because I couldn't remember. And then I read the last sentence and oops. So don't spoil me for this, please. But hopefully once I finish all of these, beautiful. I love her covers also, by the way. They're always just so cool. Maybe I will make another video once I finish. If you guys want to see this, if there's anyone watching this and they want to know like how I feel about this once I'm done, I might make a video for that. And then maybe we'll do a video like as I'm reading the book. Maybe I'll do a reading vlog. I don't know if people care about those. I don't know what people want to see. I don't know if anyone's even going to watch this video. But if you did and you are interested, tell me. If people want to see things, like I'll do it. After reading the Dark Artifices, we'll be going here, and then we will be going here. Every single person that I know has given this 5 stars. If you look at Goodreads, the first like 50 reviews are 5 stars. Like, I am so excited for this, but like, I'm sure that you have, I don't think you have, people have said you don't have to. I've read the Infernal Devices, like I could just go into it. So again, if you've read the books and you want to tell me like, if I should just read this, what you think, if you think I should read other books to appreciate this book. Also, hello, can we talk about how I haven't seen anyone show this? Like, it's so beautiful. And like, fan art is some of the best stuff on Bookstagram. So let me know what y'all want to see. Bookstagram link below, Goodreads link below. I'm coming on the scene with my thoughts and opinions on these books. So there it is. Anyways, thanks you so much for watching. If you stuck all the way around to the end, then leave a comment that says, I saw some video that said leave a comment that says uterus, so I can't copy that, but leave a comment that says Penn Island. Bye.